Let's go, you guys. Hey, happy Friday. I hope you guys are enjoying the week. I hope it was prosperous and abundant this week. Man, I'm excited for this guest that we have coming up. As well as you guys know, we are Modern Manhood. It's a master class, and we have created a safe culture for men to be able to come together, just communicate things that's on their heart, that's on their mind. And it's a platform where our intention is to help us become the best version of ourselves. In order to do that, we need the right associations, we need the right tools, the right resources, and you need the right people, right? So we got my man Winfred Burns who was here. He is one third or one third, I believe, of the Scoop Network, which is a radio show. Man, I want to say it's an international radio show that he's had going on for quite a bit of time. He has the Scoop Network, which is a Facebook group. It's an amazing platform. And he's also going hard on Clubhouse. So if you guys don't know, you can tap in, hear what he has to do on Clubhouse, hear what he's doing on his network show, and also within the Facebook group, which is phenomenal. I'm always gaining and acquiring new knowledge, having fun, and engaging communication and topics. And he's a pastor and an author, a coach, a relationship coach, and he's a money coach. So what I value about Winfred, you guys, is he's not afraid to talk about the things that makes people uncomfortable if it challenges aspects of themselves that are barriers in their lives. For one, two, what I like about him is sometimes as a pastor, we give people fundamental principles of the Bible, but we never equip them to empower them on living the best version of themselves. So I love his mission. I love what he's about. He's authentic, which speaks volume into the person that he is. He has an amazing heart. And my brother just had a birthday. Just had a birthday. So happy birthday, bro. Thanks for coming on our platform and sharing your time and creating space for us to be able to discuss everything that's going on in your life. So, in regards to that, tell us what is something we should know about you, how you got started, and what do you focus on right now in creation?
Absolutely. So thank you for having me. This is an honor. Of course, I love what you all are doing here because first of all, I love the topics. I love men. I love who it's for, who you're serving, and you all do a phenomenal job. So thank you for
Appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much.
here. So again, as you said, I'm all of what you just said. I do all of what you said. Primarily, I'm a person who loves people and who loves people um, beyond the exterior things that we're used to seeing with people. I feel like I was born to help people realize that the way that they were born is the way that they're supposed to be. Like there's nothing wrong with you. Be free in who you are. Grow like we're supposed to grow, but we're supposed to live these lives of freedom. And I grew up, of course, with two parents who love Jesus and love God. My father's a pastor, and as well as a corporate was a corporate executive before he retired. And so I grew up in this culture that's be perfect. Don't let people see your flaws. Don't let people see your mistakes, and that just doesn't work. It doesn't work for people. It only creates problems. And so I want people to understand that you can experience greatness and still be flawed. Uh,
Absolutely.
other than that, who am I? I'm a dad. I'm a father of a son, a 9-year-old, who is a lot of me. And so that, as you know, with having kids, it's a learning experience, but it's also a growing experience.
Absolutely.
I tell Trey, his name is Winfred the Third. I tell him, I said, man, there's a period of my life where you literally saved my life.
It's amazing, man.
So yeah, so I'm divorced. So if yeah, how I got started, how I really got started, I've been doing like relationship coaching and into money and numbers pretty much all my life. But what really kind of elevated it and kicked into another gear was in 2014, I went through a divorce.
Okay.
And from divorce, I remember the exact thing happened was I was in my apartment complaining about where my life was and having this like almost like dialogue with God, and like
Mm-hmm.
he said, I don't like what my life is. I needed to be fixed. And he was like, well, I called you to do something. Like, why are you not doing it?
Right.
You do what I called you to do, your life is always going to feel like it feels right now. And so I'm arguing like, but I can't teach people about money because at the time I'm broke.
Right.
I'm sleeping on the floor. All I have is to my name is my car, my clothes, and my computer, and this apartment that I just got. And he was like, I know, but I called you to do it. I'm
Absolutely.
like, oh God, I can't do it, and nobody will listen to me because I'm broke. And
Yeah.
he was like, I called you to do it. Do what I called you to do, and I'll provide. And so the next day, Michelle Akins called me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a network, internet radio network, and I want you to do a show on money." She said, "I know you don't want to do it," because she had asked me to do stuff like that before, and I always said no. She's like, "But would you consider it?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Yes."
That's beautiful. Yes.
She
I'm
said,
telling you,
"Why?"
yes, that word willingness and yes can change generational paradigms and it can open you up. I feel like every new skill that we say yes to opens a new reality, bro. I want to tap in on that because I think there's a stigma with being a pastor and doing ministry and being divorced.
Mhm.
And the way we end up being our own worst critics and our own executioners in regards to the stigmas because we place pastors on such a high platform as if life is not supposed to happen to them. So talk to me about going from being divorced to stepping into a relationship coach. How did that happen for you and what led you in that direction of doing that? Because I know some people don't overcome that. They just figure, hey, I'm divorced and this is the title that shapes who I am. So how did you go beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I just so first of all, I never wanted to be a relationship coach. I didn't. And actually, up until about a year ago, I refused to allow people to call me that.
Why?
Because I felt like it's too many of them out there already, and I still have issues with, as you said, I'm very much into wanting people to love each other better. And so I'm not
Absolutely.
one. My problem is usually when I see relationship coaches like one that just only sticks up for men and help men, one that
Yeah.
sticks up for
Yeah.
women. And usually what happens is you have this over imbalance of conversation that doesn't
Mhm.
make the relationship or really the person better
Yeah.
because whether you were like all of us are complicit somehow. Like all of us somehow have to take responsibility. And so if I never present the part that you have to be responsible for, then that doesn't help you. And so I didn't want that. I didn't want when people hear relationship coach to think, oh, he's just out here trying to, you know, talk, get women, or he's just out here trying to gas up.
Right.
No, I want relationships to be better. I want people to see themselves and say, "Oh, I didn't realize," which is what my epiphany was. Post divorce, I remember and still remember times where I'm coaching somebody or I'm counseling somebody and they do something and I'm like, "Oh, I did that. Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and that wasn't my intention, but I didn't realize that this is how I could make her feel." Or even now in my relationship, like, oh my God, I didn't think that when I said this, I was trying to communicate that, but this is how she received. So yeah, I didn't want that. So how did I get over it? To answer your question, is I just did it. Like I just was
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then as I was doing it, people kept asking questions. And so with the scoop and things like that, like a lot of it for me was just asking questions.
Right.
I see these memes and I'm like, let's look at this, but let's take this deeper. Let's not, worry about let's go deeper so I can understand
The
what you
nature of it.
and were thinking, or you as a woman or as a wife were thinking, or how this affects you, or how this affects your home. Give me all of these different dimensions of the discussion that maybe I don't even think of. And over
Mm.
time, it helped. Plus, the other part of it is again, like I've been doing this all my life. I was doing this with my parents.
Mm.
So growing up, my parents would argue and have a disagreement, and for some reason, there was this gift in me where I could hear what they were really trying to say, and so like they would be mad and they would be talking to me about why they were mad at the other, which by the way, parents don't do to your children. Um, and I would be like, well, Dad, I think you misunderstood what mom was saying. What mom was really trying to tell you was this, this, and this. And he was like, was she? And I'm like, yeah. And then so we go back home and he'd be like, I was just telling WB this, and he told me that you were really trying to say this, this, and this. Is that what you were saying? She was like, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So we would sit down and have these conversations. And so I've been doing that all my life. So I
Which
just
is
kind of
natural.
a gift, and recognizing the gift and recognizing what, you know.
Yeah. That's
So
an
he talked
amazing.
about gaslighting, bro. So elaborate what that is for me, for people that may not understand, because I know Dr. Damon posted that. I don't happen to know what that is. So what is gaslighting?
So what gaslighting really is, it is a manipulative tactic of trying to really what it does is it's discrediting the other person's experience. So an example is your wife comes to you and says, um, uh, I asked you to do this and you said, and she's telling you what happened, and you're like, no, you didn't. That's not what happened. What happened was, and you start telling her a different narrative about what happened, which causes her, which is like, she's like, wait a minute, the goal of it, of gaslighting, is to cause the other person to doubt their reality. To doubt, like, wait, am I crazy? Is this really what happened? Should I really be feeling like that? Because gaslighting also includes not just changing the narrative, but questioning the validity of the person's emotion, questioning the validity of their perceptions, questioning whether or not they're, we'll say things like, oh, you just overreacting.
Right.
It's really not that serious. It didn't. Are you sure it really happened like that?
Right.
That's
It's crazy. There's a lot of women be feeling like they really crazy because of situations like that. And I know times where men be feeling like they crazy and they deny their own intuition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. The goal is to deny your intuition or to deny your experience, or like I said, it's really manipulation. Yeah, I want to manipulate your reality so that way you start seeing the world through my lens, instead of being confident enough in yourself to say, this is my experience and my feelings are trustworthy. Like, I can trust that they're valid. They might not be right, so to speak, but and I won't say right, but they might not be the way that I should act from. But I have a right to feel like this. I have a right, and again, like I said earlier, the other person could have meant it a different way.
Right.
But that's a part of the difference between, like, to Damon's post, gassing up would be to say, this is my experience and this is how I experience that, or how this feel. And then, and for the other person say, but this was my intention.
Right.
Us to work through both sides of that. That's gassing each other up, because now at the end of that conversation, the goal would be for us to come to some type of understanding, which, once we have understanding, would then increase empathy, and ultimately lead us to deeper intimacy.
Yeah.
Conversation done. Like, there you go. That's our show today, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like, you hear me, you understand, you love me, you don't think I'm crazy, you think, again, even if you do think that how I felt or what I said or what I did was crazy, you now understand why I did that, or what it was for, or what that brings up in me when this happens.
Yeah. Dude, is the idea is creating more union and more harmony. And I think that gaslighting is more about a state of dominion and control.
Absolutely.
And I think it's more egotistical, where we want to, like, overdo someone else, and it becomes more combative. So now you got to defend yourself, which is a result of a lot of conflict in our culture.
I think this speaks to some of the culture, and I know you said it, culture. We're living in a culture where the patriarchy wins. As men, we're supposed to be the leaders, and we're supposed to make all make all the decisions and protect and guide and provide. But sometimes we get into that space where, for us, that means, well, let me make the decision. Let me tell you what we're gonna do, and let me show you where my thought process is right, and your process, if you're thinking about it like that, then obviously you're not thinking about it the right way. And we get into that space of what it looks like, which is gaslighting. And that's why I felt like this was an important topic for us to bring up when we talk about living healthy and happy in our own space, in our own skin as men, but more particularly in our relationships with those around us. Winfred, I want you to help us look at and kind of dissect the difference between asking for accountability and gaslighting, because those lines can blur when we talk about, when we're in conversations, especially in conflict, and there's a space and a place to be able to say, well, this is your part in this, but when does that spill over into gaslighting?
So let me first say that I think that you can't have accountability without access. And you can't have access, like you can't force access. So I can't, especially now, in any relationship, but if we're talking men to men, especially, because of the way we relate, to and we have a greater defense mechanism than anybody, than probably most people, most women, but
True.
But if another man, if we have not given another man permission to hold us accountable, it doesn't matter how wrong or how accountable we think we are, it won't happen.
Right.
And it happens in our relationship. So I think the first thing we have to look at is, are we giving people, the right people, access to hold us accountable? Because I can call, like Donnell and I know each other well enough where if I see Donnell slipping on most things,
right,
bro, your skirt showing, you tighten it up, what's up. but Damon, we've just met, so I can't just pick up the phone and be like, hey, you slipping, man, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, and vice versa. We don't have that. So part of it is access. So, but now imagine this. Now imagine you're doing this with your wife, and she doesn't have that access to you, or you don't have that access to her. So we've got to create that space where we give them that and welcome that and give them that trust. So the difference between gaslighting and accountability would be, really the difference, I think, would be that one of them is something that we allow and where we trust, and where we are like honoring our part of the relationship. Whereas the other, gaslighting, is that we don't. I think that's really the difference, is the trust. Is the trust factor that's involved in how we're doing it. Because if I don't trust you, I'm going to assume you're gaslighting me.
No matter what.
And accountability, again, like I said earlier, goes through the process. So it goes through the process of at least validating my experience. Like, gaslighting doesn't validate your experience. It says that your experience is not real.
Man.
Whereas accountability says, no, I respect that this is how you feel, but let's walk through the process of deconstructing how you got to, why you feel the way you do. And then let's construct it back and go through this narrative, because also accountability, also what it does is it stays with you.
Right.
So thank you. So all this week, I've been chewing on this passage of scripture that says, perfect love casts out all fear.
Absolutely.
And I've been so I am in a new I don't say new relationship. And so recently,
let's go.
Have some things have come up, right? Some things have come up in me. And and have caused me to realize that there is a level of fear about some things. That, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, wait a second, what's going on? And then I remember in the scripture, perfect love cast off. And I'm wrestling like, okay, but if perfect love casted off fear, why am I feeling like this? And I had to be reminded, but wait, no, it says it cast it out. It doesn't mean that it doesn't appear.
Right.
Actually, it's telling me that the appearance of fear is an indicate, and how we handle it will let me know if love is being or is perfected. So there is this process that of love, which is a part of accountability, that reveals the ugliness in us, but also it allows us and gives us the space to handle it properly, and for our partner to have the opportunity to learn how to handle us properly as we deal with what comes up. Whereas gaslighting, again, pushes all of that away and says, no, your experience is not your experience. You need to think this.
That's
You need
good.
to agree with me. Not, I need to give you time to process. I need to give you time to heal. I need to give you time to rediscover or reimagine your life experience so that you can become better, so that you can see what's happening to you and in you in a different way. Because we all know we have this inner narrative, this inner critic that tells us our narrative. A part of what accountability does is accountability helps us reimagine or re-image, retell the story of what's happening to the inner critic in us, where gaslighting says it doesn't do that. It just forces this narrative on us.
Right.
That's not true. That only benefits the person who is being confronted.
Yeah. So basically, what it does is it exposes the falsehood itself. I can tell you, fear, usually when there's a sense of resistance, that sense of inharmony is where fear shows itself. Like saying, Winfred, I want you to be a money coach. And you say, man, I'm broke. Are you broke? Not really, bro. You're just not in a financial condition where you feel like you have value you can express to other people. But like me and Dr. Damon was talking about, experience is probably one of the greatest key traits. I'd be more likely to take value and information from a coach that has been broke, that learn how to manage his money. Because I'm like, bro, no matter where I'm at in this process, I know you understand it. You can relate. And then secondly, it's like saying, okay, Winfred, I want you to go and be a relationship coach. And you hit that, right? You don't have to second guess in perfect love because you know in perfect love, I'm in oneness with God who was able to achieve the impossible. Logically, it don't even have to make sense because I know my God is the alchemy that bends matter in order to create success in the lives of others, right? That is the total difference when it comes to a sense of oneness, even in a relationship. Where it's like what I think, my ego doesn't have to be involved, but I love the fact that it expresses it so we can get this illusion out the way, so we can really have real dialogue that gets us in alignment with who we're called to become. Exactly. So that's phenomenal.
Awesome.
I like that. So I do have a question because I love how you walk us through the process of creating space. So me and my wife, we're almost opposites. So we used to bump heads quite a bit on, hey, I think this, she's more logical. I tend to be more emotional. She's more calculated where I'm like, let's just get it done. We both had this a tango, patterns would come up where we would argue and it would happen so much. And she'd be like, well, you shutting down, we can't talk. Well, I'll say something and she shuts down and she can't talk. And then, or something that happened. And it's like 17 weeks ago. And I'm like, yo, why are you mad now? Everything is good. Something triggered this. So I like the idea of you being able to walk us through a process and be vulnerable enough not to shut down. Because I know for me, it was difficult to feel like I made a mistake or I don't want to be viewed as I'm incompetent. It could be something small, like my wife said, hey, babe, did you take the trash out? Oh, what, you don't think I'm responsible to do even the smallest things? That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, hey, babe, did you take the trash out? And then after a while, I had to be vulnerable enough to let her express her mind and thank her for it, right? And say, it's not about how I think or how I feel. Within the context of this, how can I create more space so she feels safe to communicate no matter what she wants to say without me being offended? So how do we get to that process where we can go from gaslighting, if that be the case, to being accountable and creating a sense of accountability in relationships in a healthy manner?
Good question. So I think, so how do we go from,
Because it takes healing. It takes healing, but it's hard. It's hard to say
Yeah, I have a, can I share?
yes.
Because I that is such a great, that's why we're here. Like this brings it full circle. This is that space where we find ourselves as men being defensive, being, questioning whether or not our entirety as a person and as a man is being questioned because
Mm-hmm.
someone asked us if we took the trash out, right?
Right.
We can all relate to those spaces. And for me, I can tell you where I would go sometimes the wrong direction in my own dealings is I would try to explain why the trash wasn't taken out, and this is why you're taking this too seriously. This is why you're, and what I had to learn about myself is that's gaslighting. And
Mm.
as much as I had to realize that there's logic behind what I'm saying, there are legit emotions behind what I'm saying, there are experiences that she has no clue about. What I'm doing right now is creating and really putting forth a narrative that doesn't allow me to simply answer the question, even though I feel what I feel, right?
Absolutely.
Which is not wrong to feel what I feel, but I need to stay focused on what the goal is right now, which is to keep the house rolling, keeping our family safe and comfortable and happy. And if that means getting the trash taken out on time, let's stay in that lane instead of bringing on everything else, my insecurities, my feelings of
Mm.
what else is outside of that we need to duly tackle, but this ain't the moment or the place. So when I bring that full circle and saying that I can relate to that and I see that I know many of us can, here's something that I learned and that I share with my clients and even my PT patients when it comes to how we manage those things. Curiosity. If
yeah,
we're in a space where right now we charged up to charge into the game and tell her or him or whoever it is what really is happening or what they're missing out on or what the real picture is and what the situation really is, we need to be able to recognize that space and stop and be curious. If we turn to our partner, and that means not just relationship, but if we turn to our partner at work, we turn to our children, we turn to those people who are giving us the feeling of being challenged and us trying to create the narrative, then if we come with curiosity and we allow that person to expand and to help us understand what they're feeling, what they're going through, that leaves us that space for
Like
us
that.
to find accountability, but for them to also find some vulnerability and to feel like we're connecting to what their needs are and what their wants are. So
So
I share curiosity as a tool
I like
to
that.
really allow us to get past that space where it
I
can
like
easily
that.
go left into gaslighting.
yep.
Winfred, you want to add to that? Because if not, after this, I got another question.
So I think curiosity is wonderful. I think that curiosity is the door, is the door
Mm.
to answering the question. I think it's also, again, it's I would also say the way that we do it is that we practice mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the biblical concept of mercy, so grace is not giving us what we deserve, right?
Right.
But, or excuse me, grace is unmerited. We said unmerited favor,
Right.
whereas
Mhm.
mercy is giving us, is replacing what we
Think should
what we
be.
do
Yeah.
deserve with something different.
Yes.
And so I think what we do is, as we're entering this space of curiosity, as we're entering into this space of discovering, we have to be very intentional in how we are giving mercy to the other person. And so
Mhm.
that looks like not being, first of all, not being judgmental, to their feelings and to their responses. Because whether you're on, where, especially as men, so let me say this, I know that the normal thing for a man, when we feel a certain way and we come to you and are vulnerable enough to tell you how we feel about something, that something makes us uncomfortable or feel inadequate or feel less than a man, you get a few chances to tell us, to say something ungracious or unmerciful to us, before you are now walked into this stonewall thing where we will stonewall you. And so what winds up happening, so you have to say, this is an opportunity for me to be merciful. This is an opportunity for me to really lean into, whether, obviously, whether or not your a love language is words of affirmation or not, but to really affirm this person, to say, listen, you don't have for me, I think you're amazing even when you make mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
so to, for a man to say, and maybe you would say it to another dude, but in that way, but for a woman, for your woman to say that to you in the moment that you are feeling less than a man, inadequate, insufficient, like you're creating chaos in this home that you're trying so hard to create peace and prosperity, to say, listen, I get it. Okay. But I still think you're amazing, even though you didn't take the garbage out.
Fam, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Bar none.
Mercy, mercy, mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling in the world when it happens. The best feeling in the world, fam.
Yeah.
I think it's dope because it allows you to know how you can still make mistakes, but it doesn't take away from you.
Yep.
It does not take away. I think we need to get back to that. Like, we expect perfection, and that in itself is an unrealistic expectation. It's okay. Like, you're gonna miss the mark, but that's okay. How can we get to the next level? That's perfectly fine. I like that. So, opposite end now. What about the person that is being gaslighted? Because I got I got friends that are in relationships that don't feel like they have a voice. They're trying to work it, but they don't feel like the person that they're with feels like they have a voice. So they do put them down, and hey, you're not doing this because you're not the man to me, and they're dealing with that. But they happen to be in a position where they really love this person and they really want this to work out. So what would you say in a situation like that?
Yeah. So what I would say to that man is, first of all, is when you're being gaslit, the first thing that you can do is to take a step back. Because take that step back, because one way it's talked about is that the purpose of being gaslit is to create a fog in your vision. And so what you want to do is take a step back out of the fog so you can see yourself clearly. Because if you've been in this manipulative system, let's call it, for a period of time, you're doubting yourself. So taking that step back to say, wait a second, I'm a good man.
Absolutely.
I make mistakes, but I'm a good man, and this is not my issue. This is this person's issue. Let me gather my emotions. Let me, firm myself up, and then okay, now once you do that, then you can engage this person by saying, or engage the situation by saying, listen, I am no longer going to allow you to manipulate or lead this discussion, this family, this whatever it is, into a place where there is not unity. So we can see this differently. But what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the differences and figure out what the solution is. So to that man, I'm saying, what I'm really saying is, at that point, once you step back, once you heal, once you go through the process and realize and become confident that you have the ability to lead, then I'm saying, then step back in that and lead with a new level of authority, with a new level of vision, because you've got to have a vision as to where you're trying to take your family, and don't allow the other person to gaslight you off of that. And that's, again, this is assuming you want to stay in this situation, because let me just say it, gaslighting is a form of abuse.
Right. Absolutely. Narcissism.
Yeah. So let's call it what it is and realize that this is what this person is doing. And also, again, because you also then have to address them. Like,
right.
You're not, this other person is probably not being healthy. So what is it that they're not? Why are they? You want to be merciful to them too, but also recognize, no, I'm standing my ground.
Right.
Where we're going. And we're going to talk through it, and I'm going to be gracious and merciful, and I'm going to love you through it. But you're not going to continue to gaslight me, and you're not going to continue to hold me accountable, or to hold me to a standard that you yourself refuse to live up to.
Right. I'm hearing three things.
Go ahead.
Three things. Okay. So 3 things I'm hearing. First of all, understand who you are and be in alignment with that. That takes being grounded. That way, whenever stuff does happen in regards to a person projecting their insecurities, projecting their ego, you can differentiate between the ego that's being expressed and where you stand in that, right? If you know that you're not the one that's trying to control it, that's being forceful, then you can understand this is not me. Two, be an observer. Be an observer, say, hey, let me take some time to perceive this in the right manner, and let me investigate it to ask the other person, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because this is what I see projecting inside our relationship, and this is called a division. And third, is this honoring our relationship? And I used to look at a relationship like, is it hurting it? Now I look at it, is it creating wholeness or is it creating separation? Because that's the only two outcomes that can happen. Is it separating us or is it bringing us together? That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah. Yep. That's really what divorce is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Divorce is, I said divorce is division, two visions. And
yeah,
people cannot be together unless they're one. One person can't be like one person can't be together if they're two. So it's you know, so it's like you said, it's exactly what it is. It's wholeness, meaning unity, or it's pushing us away, which is division.
Yeah. And being able to honor yourself, I think, is a big deal. That's why I think one of the lessons in my relationship, I had to learn how to break codependency. Because I see people that get into relationships like, I'm not in the right space, you're not in the right space. And we think because these two people are not in the right space, they can come together and it can happen. It can build something great. But if you're not whole within yourself, you'll find yourself trying to complement your inadequacy with this person's inadequacy and trying to take the good part of them, and merge them together. And then when you come together and you're full now, but you're not full by yourself, now you got to struggle for two egos trying to bend direction. My vision's the right way, your vision's the right way. And we haven't learned how to be whole by ourselves. I see that being like people in relationships out of desperation instead of out of like decision that can lead to something that's even greater. So it's like, what is your foundation built on?
Yeah. What is your relationship? Yep. It's a lot of trauma bonding.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of codependency instead of the best relationships are interdependent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be interdependent.
Yeah.
The partner for us is probably going to be, hopefully, strong in areas that we're weak. So like
right.
when Danielle, how you can be more emotional and your wife is more logical, to me that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
It's perfect because she's going to help you become more logical, which is a healthier balance.
Yes.
You're going to help her become a little more emotional, which is a healthy balance for her. We're creating logical and emotional beings.
Absolutely.
So it's helping us. And in times we're either pushing that away or denying, or in gaslighting, we're saying that this is really not happening. Like your emotions are not, your logic doesn't make sense. Your emotions don't make sense. Or you're why are you always using logic? Or you're so emotional all the time. Why, it's like, no, these are good things. We just have to learn how to use them effectively.
Right.
Absolutely.
Dude, that's great.
I like to use the example of like when we talk about all of what that means, how do we take those ideas and we make them actions? And so one of my examples I really use is you got to be ready to come to the table. If we say we're going to eat together, I'm not going to spend all day looking over at what you're doing and what you're cooking in your kitchen and telling you if you need more salt. Oh wait, you using radishes? No, we don't need radishes. That's gaslighting. I can't sit here and tell you about what you're bringing to the table when you're trying to put together your best meal, right? I need to focus on doing the self-care and work in my kitchen to make sure my plate makes it to the table and that it's got what I know to be my best to serve, right? So if I'm focused on my plate, my kitchen, keeping my house clean, myself centered and taken care of, self-care, learning, continuing to build on myself, being my best self. When we get to the table, now we can sit down and start saying, you know what? I'm glad you brought greens. I need some greens in my life.
Yeah.
And look, I brought this cornbread and it's the dopest cornbread on the street. And now you can eat together. But if all I'm focused on is telling you how your plate is wrong and how, when you get to this table, all I'm gonna do is just tell you what's bad about what you got to bring to the table. but I'm not focused on myself and I'm not taking the accountability for what I'm bringing to the table, now we're in a space where ain't nobody eating. We're going to turn this table
Absolutely.
over. It's about
Exactly.
to get flipped over.
Yeah, man.
I want your plate. You don't want my plate.
Right.
It took me a long time to get to that space, but then I started to, what happened for me. You know what was a change for my life? Was saying, what if she says something I didn't agree with? I was like, man, what if she's right? It's possible. Is it possible, right? And second, what I've learned that really has brought value to my life is expressing the nature of relationships. To say, if I attracted this person into my life, what is it that's in me that attracted this person, so I can make the best use of it, so that I can use my relationship as a lesson. We don't utilize relationships as lessons enough because we always feel the need to be fighting, defending, or guarding something. But it's
Yeah.
like, if we're all electrical beings, right? Electromagnetic beings, and you attracted this person, what is in me that brought this into my life?
Yeah.
Because if this is something I don't necessarily like, I don't want to hold somebody else accountable for my happiness if I'm the one that brought them into my field, right? I
Yeah.
think if we did more of that, relationships would be so much more than just surface. Because a lot of the arguments, and I don't want to discredit the pain that people are experiencing,
Right.
but a lot of it is really surface, and we could experience such a great richer depth of harmony or harmonious relationships if we were able to think in that manner.
I
Stay
think,
in touch.
and I think a lot of it. You're right, exactly right, Danielle. I think it's it's surfaced because we haven't gotten beyond defending
Mm,
the facade that we want people to see. Because
Yes.
to your
Yes.
point, to your point, what if he or she is right? What does that mean? Like, so and then it's, to be honest, a lot of us are afraid to answer that question, because let's look at it from one end. What if they're right and I'm not? I'll use myself for example. I'm not the great relationship coach, like, even though I'm the great relationship coach publicly,
right.
but I'm failing at home privately. What does that mean? Like, and
Mm,
what if people really figure out that at home, for some, I'm not this, like, this same stuff that I'm doing out in the world, I don't really do all that good at home. What does that mean? So now I have to guard her from
right.
trying to let people know, or not, she's not experiencing my best self, but they are, and I got to guard this
Right.
thought of being this great person. But what if people really found out I make mistakes just like everybody else?
Right.
I like it. I like it.
What does that mean? And what it really means, so I'll fast forward and give people the answer if they really ever feel like that. What it really means is that you're human, and that you're growing, and that
Yes.
Right.
and it's okay that you make mistakes, and that you're not perfect all the time. But we're defending that. We're
Right.
defending. We're all, sometimes, listen, sometimes we're defending what we don't realize or not. We're defending our family structure.
Right.
So we're defending what mama and daddy taught us, or how mama and daddy taught us,
Yeah.
which sometimes is wrong.
Right.
And I
Facts.
and I
Doesn't work. Don't
I
work all the time.
love, or it doesn't, right. It's either wrong or it doesn't work. Like, I love my parents, but there are so many things I'd be like, y'all, that don't work for me. That don't work for me. Like, we
Man,
have to have those
so many.
conversations. Like, listen, I think y'all did a great job raising me and my sister, but for Trey, that don't work. Like, that's not.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't raise Trey like that. That's not the society we live in. So we're defending that and projecting it on to other people because we're trying to defend, or we're defending a cultural norm.
Right.
Oh God,
Facts.
you only
Yeah.
high value if you make a certain amount of money. You only attractive if you have a certain look. Like, we're defending all of these things that aren't us. And so if we get beyond that defense and let the other person in, then the other person can really show, no, I find your value not in how much you make, but I
Mhm.
find your value in the fact that as a man, you're able to be emotional. I find my value
Man.
in that as a man, I see your gentleness and your care for other people. I find that that's what attracted me to you, not the fact that you make six figures, or not the fact
Mhm.
that you're 6 feet tall, not the fact that you have this particular body type, but that you treat people in a way that makes me better.
Right.
Like, those are the things, how we get beyond the surface of
Yeah.
and just saying, like, what if? Like exploring the what if can be, and it's scary. Let me say to any of
Yeah.
you, it is scary to get beyond the perfect image of what we want to be, especially as a Black man.
Right.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Bombarded with so much on a daily basis, and so many people expect us to do so many things, but it's okay to say, I can't do it. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy anymore.
Yeah. Bro, you know what I just realized, man? It had broken so many layers. So many layers have been broken because of that. I just realized that I think that is beautiful. I think that should definitely be in the book. I find value when you do XYZ. Because
Yeah.
I think that could bring so much validation, affirming, healing. I find value in that. That would be a great statement. Point out 4 or 5 things like that that really says, and I don't think we do that enough in relationships. I think now, because people are so independent, it's this thing I see now in relationships. Why do you feel like you need a validation for something you should already be doing? Like cleaning. You'd be doing it if I wasn't here. Laundry, you'd be doing this if I wasn't here. Taking care of the children, you would be doing it if I wasn't here. So it becomes, and secondly, it's like, dude, being like not recognizing what you're defending. That the things that we're defending actually exposes who we believe we really are.
Mhm,
And we don't never question our identity enough in
mhm,
regards to that.
mhm.
Yeah. So
And the rain,
that speaks back to really what we're saying here is one of the best antidotes to gaslighting. If you feel like that, if you find yourself in a space where someone is questioning their experience with us, you got to be curious and you got to ask the question, what if? And you have to give that person grace and space
right,
to experience what they're experiencing and to share that with you in a way that you don't feel defensive enough to take it on and take it as an attack. And
right,
so when we bring this full circle, I want that to be the idea and the mission for us to go out into the world today as men and say, I'm willing to ask the question, what if? And I'm willing to be
yeah.
curious about what other people are feeling, no matter what I see the picture being. I
Right.
got we can sit on here forever.
Yeah, I'm about to say we ready the hour, bro. We
Like,
ready the
listen,
hour.
but the value, right? Like this is it, man. I love this space. And I want
You're
to finish
freaking
up.
amazing.
We got to give some space, Winfred, for you to really share with us.
Yes.
Amazing accomplishment. Your book is like, I saw your video with you having that book in hand, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. Tell us about this book, where we can find it and where we can find you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can find me on all social media at Winfred Burns the second. So on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, Winfred Burns the second. The book is Surviving Relationship Storm. So this is the book I wrote because every relationship is going to go through a storm.
Mm-hmm.
And by storm, I use that as an analogy to say it's going to go through rough seasons. It's going to go through murky
Mm,
waters. It's going to go through uncovering seasons, and it's really the design of the storm is to really reveal you to you and you to your partner. But it's really in the process of doing that of making us better.
mm,
And so we have to. So how do we, knowing we're going to go into this storm, how do we go into it well? How do we get into it and do that part well? And then what happens when we come out of the storm? And so
yeah.
that's really the premise of the book is I give people tools, I give people practical conversations to have before, in, and out of the storm to help them get better. I heard Bishop Jakes several years ago. He said that relationships are like riding a motorcycle, and he says that they're fine. It's easy on the straightaway, but when you get into the curves where you
Mm,
lose somebody, and as somebody who rides motorcycles, I understand that if your partner doesn't lean with you, then it's going to be more difficult to handle the
wow.
curve. And so it's the same thing in the storm. If we are on a boat, if any of you are boat people, if you don't row together, you're either going to go in circles or still. And
Mm,
so it's like, how do we handle this where we don't go in circles or where we don't stand still, but that we progress in becoming who we're supposed to be? How do we?
powerful.
Yeah. So that's what the book is about. And I'm proud of it. I'm nervous, as you saw the video yesterday. I'm super nervous because this is my first relationship book, and I didn't want it to be what everybody else was doing. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm like everybody writing relationship book. I don't know, but I want it to be something different. And so
And it's only one you, bro. There's only
Absolutely.
one you. This is the thing about it, bro. You got to understand, you was created to complement areas that people may not. And there's a million McDonald's, but there's a McDonald's that goes hard. There's a million Popeyes. There's a million restaurants, but there's only one you, bro. All
absolutely.
right. So make sure you ain't second guessing the things that you do, because the platform that you're creating, a lot of people haven't even stepped into who they're called to become. And that's one thing I really value about who you are, bro. You're not afraid to show up being the best version of you, but you're also not afraid to say, hey, I don't have it all together, but I'm willing to learn from you.
Yeah.
I'm willing to learn from you. And I think that is extraordinary traits of a great leader, if you ask me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. So you can get it on.
I got 2 of them already. I got 2. Listen, he had a deal. How much was that deal? It was like $20 or $30 for 2 books.
It was 2 for 20.
Yeah.
2 for 20?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we
Yeah.
was in there. I got my 2 on the way, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm posting the link. We are posting the link in this, and I want this to be posted in Scoop too. I want this to be posted in Scoop, because you guys, and even in our man cave, I want to post this in our man cave because I want this to be a bestseller. I don't think we really understand relationships thrive in storms, right? It's through your trials and tribulations that your character comes to surface, and you can actually come face to face with the things that truly take you into the next level of who you are. And that's what makes you a great person. I don't think we place ourselves in situations where our greatness can come to surface because we dodge it. And I like when God is like, yo, it's just like a giraffe. I'm gonna push you out and I'm gonna kick you because I got a new level for you to get to, but I can't get there if you want to be in complacency. It won't happen.
You know what's interesting? Did you say that too? Is I was thinking yesterday, like we never really recognize, like new levels and new seasons don't say, "Hey, I'm a new season." They just
Facts.
show up.
Yeah.
And either adapt to them or we die in them. So it's like
Facts.
so it's like we have to be willing to be uncomfortable, and the storm
Yeah.
is uncomfortable. It makes us question everything, and and again, and it's revealed because in the storm, one of the things I write about is you don't have time to prepare for the storm in the storm.
In the storm, right.
By then, when the storm hits, it's like we know what to do. Everybody does their job and we go. And we do it in unison. We do it, in harmony. Whereas a lot of times we're trying to prepare for the storm in the storm. Even financially, think about it. We wait until financially we're already bad. Now I need a financial advisor. Well, no, you should have had a financial advisor.
Thanks.
5 years ago, before you got married. But now it's like, oh, we broke. We about to go into bankruptcy. Fix me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellas. This
I
a
know.
lot, man. It's a lot, and I hope those of us who are with us, who are tracking, who are following, are going to watch this again and again and again, and pick out every gem of knowledge and of skills and tools that Winfred has brought to the table with us. And this will not be our last conversation. So you guys catch up with Winfred, catch up with us in the man cave. You can catch him, of course, check on the Scoop, check on him in Clubhouse. This man is always working, giving, serving, and helping. So listen, go out and get your best, right? And find the people who are going to help you get there.
That's right.
Honor both of you, man. I appreciate you both, man.
You're very welcome. I'm gonna end on one more thing. Winfred said, if we can create more spaces where men can begin to talk and men can begin to feel, we can start to experience more healing. That's what's happening in the man cave. So we appreciate you being a part of our platform, bro, sharing your time, creating space for us, sharing your heart, being vulnerable. We really do honor that. I pray that this was really encouraging to a lot of men and women that are tuned in that's listening to this. Hopefully we brought some tips. I feel like my man gave away a lot of gems. Go and buy my brother's book. Go buy his book, all right? You guys would not be disappointed. Relationships is what's necessary to take us to the next level. That's why every form of greatness included relationships. You can't do it by yourself, all right? That's why we're here together. So we love you guys. Happy Friday. If you're checking in for the first time, put a 1. If you're sharing this or seeing this for this replay, do a 2. And share it. Share it with everybody. Tag your people so they can get tuned into this. Peace.